Apple Notes is the most underrated app in the Apple ecosystem. That's why today I'm going to show you how to make it really useful, going over the most useful tips, tricks, and hidden features that I can assure you didn't know about. I honestly wish I would have watched the video like this back when I was a student, because the value that you're going to get from this video is absolutely insane. From making the most beautiful notes, to keeping everything organized, to taking the full advantage of artificial intelligence, let's get started. Now let's get started by talking about making beautiful notes. Now, for you to make beautiful notes, you have to understand formatting. Just take a look at this note, for example. You've got a title with a visual emoji, you've got highlighting, you've got text, you've got bullet points, you've got arrows, you've got images, and so on. You've got different color patterns depending on different things. Everything is organized by chapters. You've got a to-do list, you've got a voice memo, and even tags that are extremely powerful, and then I'll tell you about that in just a second. Now, how do you use formatting in Apple Notes? Well, it's as simple as tapping on this little button right here, and from there, you've got a bunch of different options, from adding a title, a heading, a subheading, different standard formatting tools like making something bold, for example, even highlighting. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually change the color of the highlight by simply tapping on that color right here and then tapping on the color. And you can also use indexing by tapping on this button right here. As you can see, I moved it up just a bit, or you can totally move it upwards by tapping on that. Now, if you select some text like this right here and tap on the checklist icon, this will convert your list into a checklist, which is very useful in order to, if you want to study specific things, or even for a standard to-do lists. Apple Notes makes it extremely easy to convert things into a to-do list. Now, a way that I always used this back in college is right after my notes, after I went to class, at the bottom of the document, as you can see, I always added my homework for that specific class. Now, the neat thing about a checklist is obviously that you can uncheck or check your to-dos. Apple Notes also makes it very simple to convert an entire paragraph into a table by simply tapping on the table icon, just like that. It is obviously highly customizable and makes it very visual as well. It is very easy the way that it works. You simply tap on it and then tap on these little 3 dots right here. And if you tap on it and then hold on it, you can move it upwards or downwards depending on your needs. If you also tap on it one more time, you can add a new row, you can delete a row, you can copy, you can cut it. You can also choose different formats. So if you want to add a new column to the right, you simply tap on add column, and you can have a very visual way, which is great for studying or researching. This icon right here is actually extremely powerful for a bunch of different reasons, because one, you can scan text, which is a very useful feature. It will simply open this right here, so I can grab some text from this, for example, and as you can see, it will detect that text automatically. Boom, and I can tap insert, and boom. And just like that, it is that easy to insert text from a textbook, from a book, from a journal, from a magazine. If you're researching some homework, you can literally scan entire pages and simply tap that button and it will insert that text into your notes. Next up in the attachments button is scan documents. And what that does is pretty much the same thing, except it will scan your document. Let's grab this case once again. And what's useful about this one feature is that, as you can see, it's automatically grabbing that perspective as I'm moving, and boom, just like that. It makes it very easy to scan documents from homework or assignments. Once again, you can adjust the angle just like that using your Apple Pencil very precisely if you want to make it perfect. You can add filters to your document, so if you want to make it black and white like a standard scanner, grayscale, or if you want color. Grayscale is a great one, especially from adding text, because it makes it, as you can see, the quality of it is just so freaking good. You can also rotate it if it didn't do a good job. It scanned 2 of them, so you can also delete the one that didn't do a good job. And then once you're done scanning, you simply tap on this, and that's it. It's already scanned. You can add multiple pages, as many as you want, and they will all be saved right here. Now, the neat thing about scanning documents is that then you can use your Apple Pencil and you can start highlighting documents. You can start marking stuff up, which makes it just so useful for students. Also in attachments, you can also take a photo or a video and simply add them to your notes. You can choose a photo or a video, which makes it very useful. For example, making visual notes, especially making beautiful notes. Something that really helps me learn and study is adding visual images. So back in college, to making the most beautiful notes, I always added images inside of notes. You've also got Image Playground, which we're gonna get into just a second, I promise. You can also record an audio file, which makes it very useful when you're in class, for example, and you can start recording your teacher, for example. So like this, you remember everything. Now, the neat thing about this is that it will actually automatically transcribe everything that the teacher is saying. Or maybe you've got a group assignment with a couple of friends and you have to do an assignment together. You can literally start recording everything, and then once you are done, here's the magic of transcribing. You can then tap summary and it will automatically do a summary of your class, of an assignment. This is by far one of the most useful features within Apple Intelligence. I honestly wish I would have had this in college as well. You can obviously listen to your entire voice recording. If you want to put a name to that voice recording, you can simply tap on rename and name it however you want. And then once you're done with it, you can add it inside of your notes. And then if you ever want to recall it, you can simply tap play and you've got playback controls right here. So while you're studying, you can look up for certain information. And then beyond audio, you can also attach a file. For example, I can add my presentation on Billie Eilish and it will automatically be attached to my document, and you can obviously move things around by simply holding and dropping. Now, one little place that little people visit inside of Apple Notes are these 3 dots right here, and they are so powerful. You can actually find in Notes. Now, this for students is just so powerful because you can type in Andy Warhol, for example, and it will show you all of the different places that you've written Andy Warhol in your notes. And then once you're done, you simply tap that. So like this, you know that you wrote Andy Warhol notes right here. Now, there's a lot of people that don't know that you can actually add lines and grids inside of Apple Notes, making it very useful when writing handwritten notes on iPad and Apple Pencil. You've got a couple lines and grids. So let's say you want to do this one, for example. It will go up right in the bottom. And from there, you can simply start writing. If you're working on some math, you've got obviously the grid as well. Now, there's a lot of people that wish that they could do handwritten notes on their Apple Pencil and iPads like this. The problem with this is that if you're not a good artist or you don't have good handwriting, this practically feels impossible to a lot of people, including me. So today I wanted to give you one of the most powerful tips for that, and that is this right here. Now, before I tell you even more new features, if you've got an iPad and you're still using a random case from Amazon, you need to stop. Because Zugu has been perfecting this one thing for over 15 years. And it truly shows. This is by far the most complete case I've ever seen for the iPad. Zugu calls it the one case for every single situation. You get a multi-angle magnetic kickstand. It kind of just locks into place for watching videos, illustrating, typing, drawing. You also get military grade protection. It's been drop tested. It's got very, very solid corners. And if your iPad does break, Zugu will literally pay for your iPad repair, which is wild. The Apple Pencil also has a very nice spot for it, which will obviously wirelessly charge. And there's also this elastic slot, just in case you're worried your Apple Pencil might fall off. We've all been there digging through our backpack trying to find our Apple Pencil. And it overall just feels like a very premium case. If we're talking about materials, it's honestly something Apple would make. It's sleek, minimal, and overall just built to last. And Zugu is not even close to done. To celebrate their 15th anniversary, they're launching not 1, not 2, but 3 new products this year. A 360 case with portrait and landscape mode, which is perfect for multitasking with your iPhone and iPad side by side. A kids case, so it can survive pretty much anything. And a limited edition color with a matching bumper. I'm a sucker for good design, so I'm definitely excited to test that one out. So look, you honestly deserve better than a random $15 case on Amazon. Check out Zugu in the links in the description, and keep an eye out for their 2025 launches because they are going to be big. Thank you, Zugu, so much for sponsoring this portion of this video. Now, what I'm about to show you will probably blow your mind. You're gonna copy this prompt right here, which I will obviously give it to you in the description. You can simply copy it and paste it like that. And then right underneath that, you're gonna copy your notes that you've done in class and then paste it right here. And what this will do is, using ChatGPT, it will actually generate an image for you. And what it basically says is that you need to generate an image that feels like it's drawn on iPad with an Apple Pencil, with sections, with quotes. You can customize it however you want. I've personally found that this prompt to be one of the most powerful. It will generate it more or less in a minute or 2, but trust me, it is so incredibly worth it. It is now generating me an image of some notes, of my notes that I did with pop art techniques, different criticism that pop art had, the legacy, and there you go. It now generated it. And what's cool about this is, 1, if it messed up in anything, you can simply type it in again and it will generate it again. But if it did a good job, you simply grab it and bring it into your notes. You can add it right here at the bottom. And there you go. You can simply open it, and then you can grab your Apple Pencil and actually write on top of it. You can highlight different things. You can also obviously draw on top of it. But this solution for me would have changed everything back in college, because me, as you can see, I don't have good handwriting. And this honestly helps you study so much better since everything is so visual. You've even got illustrations that feel like you actually did them with your Apple Pencil. If you actually do have handwriting and you do know how to sketch this well, this is probably not useful for you, but I know it definitely is for me. It will simply save it as an image, but as you can see, you can ask ChatGPT or any AI tool to generate more colorful ones, one that you want more illustrations, less illustrations. Check this one out from art history, for example. I actually pasted all of my notes from art history class, and it did such a good job illustrating them with such beautiful style, and the quality of it is simply so freaking good. If you're finding value out of this video and you want more tips and tricks like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more student-related content like this. Now that you've subscribed, let's get back to the video. Now that we're inside of the topic of the Apple Pencil, let me show you how you can truly take the full potential of your Apple Pencil as well. So first off, if you've got the Apple Pencil Pro, you can simply pinch on your Apple Pencil to bring up the tool palette. You've got a bunch of different tools right here. You've got your standard eraser and markers, and something that I wanted to show you is this. Now check out what happens when I write something with my Apple Pencil. Check it out. Did you see that? That's a new feature with iPadOS, that it automatically improves your handwriting. It is still doing my handwriting, but it's improving it. The way that you activate this feature is tapping on these three dots right here and then tapping an auto refine handwriting. This will also help you create more beautiful notes on your iPad, since your handwriting will be more polished. And it will still maintain your own handwriting, which is some really cool AI features. While we're inside of these settings right here, I highly recommend deactivating Draw with Finger. With this, you can obviously draw with your finger, but it's something that I highly avoid, because sometimes maybe you're like scrolling through and you automatically draw something by accident. So I often like, if you've got an Apple Pencil at least, make sure to deactivate this so you don't have any mess ups with your handwriting. Something also very neat is that you can check handwritten spelling. So as you can see, I just wrote beautiful with an O instead of with a U. So I can simply tap and it will automatically fix my own handwriting spelling. This is also a very powerful feature that you need to turn on. If you tap on Pencil Settings, it will open up your Apple Pencil settings inside of the Settings app. And inside of here, it will give you different actions, like what happens when you squeeze on your Apple Pencil. And something that I highly recommend is turning a little bit down the sensitivity so it doesn't trigger it by accident. And here's a really cool feature right here. You can actually program the squeeze gesture on your Apple Pencil. So like this, every time you squeeze it, it will trigger a specific shortcut. And there's a bunch of things that you could do. You could start recording, you could play some music, you could scan a document, you could open a specific ad, or you can tap on this. And now check what happens whenever I squeeze my Apple Pencil. It will automatically create a quick note. So I can quickly create a quick note. This is all use shortcuts with the Apple Pencil Pro. If you're a student, you probably use ChatGPT a lot. You could simply create a shortcut that whenever you do this, you could directly ask ChatGPT something. Research about negative impact of pop art. You tap done and it will automatically research from you. Once again, you're triggering this from your Apple Pencil. One of the things that I would do if I was a student is do this right here. I would trigger my Apple Pencil to turn on a do not disturb mode. So by simply holding on the Apple Pencil, so you can see I just triggered do not disturb. If I hold it again, see, by simply holding it, boom, it automatically activates do not disturb. One more thing before we leave the settings app, I highly recommend you to customize this right here, the bottom left corner, and make sure to add it to quick note. Like this, by simply doing like this with your Apple Pencil, you can simply create a quick note without needing to do that shortcut that I was telling you about. You've always got a quick note accessible for you at all times. All right, let's go back inside of Apple Notes. Did you know that if you've got a shape and you hold on that shape, for example, a circle, it will convert it to perfect shape. So if you draw a star like this, it will convert it to a perfect star. It works for squares as well, for rectangles, even for arrows as well, just like that. So if you're wondering why your classmates make such beautiful shapes, it's because they know these tricks. And they're probably subscribed to this channel. Something very useful as well is if you don't know how to draw. Well, if you don't know how to draw, that's where this tool comes in, which is the image one. You simply circle both objects and it will grab my illustration, the word tree, and convert it to a sketch of a tree that is so much better than mine. You can flip through the different options that it gives you, and if you don't like them, you can just keep swiping, and as you can see, it will keep generating new ones. You can also tap and select different styles from sketch, illustration, or animation. Some of them are more realistic, some of them are sketchy. For example, this animation one looks absolutely incredible. And then once you like it, it's that simple to simply tap add. Or if you want to describe more details, for example, let's say add a rabbit in the photo. Let's say you want a rabbit in here. Maybe you want a rabbit chilling under a tree, and it will automatically generate that for you. There you go. That looks pretty good. There you go. That one's perfect. By simply tapping add, it will automatically be added to your notes. Think of these features that I'm telling you right now to help you make more beautiful notes. If you don't know how to draw, let AI draw it for you. You'll sketch on it. It will simply make your drawings better. While we're in the topic of Apple Intelligence, let me also show you that you can also generate custom Genmojis and orient them to your notes. Since we're in the topic of pop art, let's generate a custom emoji of a tomato soup. I'll also write can, tomato soup can. There you go. So now I can generate that. And boom, just like that, I've now got a more beautiful title that has a custom emoji that I've created with AI, which is super cool. Let's grab this text now right here and tap on the Apple Intelligence icon, which will bring us to writing tools. Now you can ask writing tools pretty much anything you want. Whether you want to grab this and turn them into key points, you can grab that text and proofread it, rewrite it, make it more friendly, more professional, or even compose text with ChatGPT. You don't have to grab your ChatGPT app. You can do it directly with Apple Intelligence. For example, 5 facts about pop art. Let's ChatGPT compose it, and it will write it for you. Now, once you're done with your note, there's a bunch of ways to share it and export your notes. By simply tapping on the share icon, you're gonna have a bunch of different options. For example, opening your notes inside of Pages, exporting it as Markdown, and it will save inside of Files. Or one of my favorite ones is Markup. It will export your own note into a PDF, which you can then grab your Apple Pencil and then mark up or highlight your own text notes. Once you're done with that as well, you can tap share again and save that PDF into your own files on your iPad, save it onto iCloud Drive, whatever you want. I also bet you didn't know you could do math equations using Apple Math Notes. So let me write a pretty simple equation like 1 + 1 equals. You simply tap solve and it will do it for you. If you tap on the sidebar and go to your main menu, you'll see a specific place where it says math notes, and all of your different math notes that you've created will all be saved right here. But as you can see, it can do way much more than simply 1 + 1. It can do pretty advanced equations, and even some of them even turn them into graphs depending on the equation itself. Now let's talk about organizing now, because organizing your notes, especially when you write down everything here from your personal life, from your student life, from your work life, maybe everything is here, and it can get quite messy very easily. Now, a couple tips that I can give you with that is if you swipe to the left, you can actually pin your notes, and all of your pinned notes will be in the pin section. All of the important notes should be right here. Apple Notes also makes it very simple to separate notes. So all of your quick notes will live right here. All of your math notes will live right here. You can now record calls with iOS 26 and they will all live right here, and even have previews and even use Apple Intelligence to summarize all of that. You've also got all of your shared notes right here. And then all of your notes though will live right here. As you can see, I've created 727 notes, and you can add different folders and make it very visual. You can simply create a folder by tapping on this. You can turn it into a smart folder if you want, which means that you can select specific filters. So once you create a new folder, you can turn it into a smart folder. What a smart folder basically is, you can add specific filters to your notes. What I mean by that is you can add a specific filter, for example, if your note was created within the last 12 months, added automatically into that folder. If it was shared by a specific person or by anyone, added inside of here. If it has any sort of attachments, for example, your invoice folder, you can add all of your folder, you can add all of your attachments into the invoice folder. If you add a hashtag Andy Warhol, for example, all of your hashtag Andy Warhol will automatically be added to that folder. This feature in particular is so powerful. So like this, you don't need to manually add specific notes to folders. An example for this would be all of your college notes. You could title them #college like this. All of your college notes will automatically be added to your college folder. Once you've created a specific folder, you can add a folder inside of a folder. So you could keep creating subfolders within subfolders and make everything very organized. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll also see all of your tags. So you can browse through your notes depending on the tag that it has. So you could find your specific note way much easier. You simply create a tag by simply adding a hashtag and then writing a word just like that. So you can see I've created a hello tag and it now lives inside of my tags. By the way, if you don't want to lose any of your notes, make sure to have a backup. Make sure to save all of your notes inside of iCloud. You simply go to settings, tap on your profile, tap on notes. You can simply tap on this and make sure to sync this iPad like this. If you lose your iPad, if you lose your Mac, or like this, if you start a note on your iPad, you can then later on browse it on your iPhone. I could honestly keep talking about Apple Notes forever and how to make it really useful, but I think for part 1, I think that's more than enough. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe or watch more related content right here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.